Hi, welcome to Agastya Software Technologies OCA 8 certification course. In this course, we are going to cover all the topics required for OCA 8 certification as well as the practical implementation of the concepts for the OCA 8. This course we are covering 1.8 OCA. Now we are going to discuss the evolution of Java until 1.8. When we see, then we started JDK 1.0 in 1996. Just pay attention in the naming convention, how the naming convention is changed. We'll elaborate more on this one during the course. Until here, JDK, Java Development Kit, Java Development Kit here, 1.0, 1.1, which is 1997. And here, this is, if we observe until here JDK, now J2SE means Java Standard Edition. SE stands for the Standard Edition 1.2. Then when we come is 1998 and Java Standard Edition 1.3 in 2000 and 1.4 in 2002. And now here after 1.4, now it is J2SE 5.0. The reason we will elaborate, this is very important to observe what is these conventions during the course. So now you can see after J2SE 1.4, it is not J2SE 1.5, it is J2SE 5.0. The Java version here is 1.5. This is very important. The Java version is 1.5, is not 5.0. We will elaborate that one here. Here the Java version is 1.4. Until here it is aligned. So J2SE 1.4, Java version is 1.4, Java version is 1.3, Java version is 1.2. But here the Java version is 1.5, not 5.0. But the standard edition, the version is 5.0. And again, now here, again they changed. The 2 is removed here. Now Java SC, again the convention is Java Standard Edition 6. Here the Java version is 1.6. And again Java SC 1.7, the Java version is 1.7. Now we are discussing Java SC 8. In this one, Java version is 1.8. This is which is introduced in March 2014. Now we can see now the version is 17. We are not going to discuss because only we are discussing in this current course. Later we're going to cover the latest courses, but for current courses we are covering only Java 1.8, and also we are covering the topics required for OCA certification. So the current version is 17, Java version 17. Now if we observe, then now there is a title Openjdk and Oracle. So this is also very important when the Java introduced from Sun Microsystems. From Sun Microsystems, when Oracle took over Sun Microsystems, how they changed. Now, what is again Openjdk? This is also important because we are discussing the introduction. We are going to cover what is the differences between Openjdk and Oracle JDK, how the changes happened after Oracle took over Sun Microsystems. We will also cover during the course. Now we can see now also Openjdk versus Oracle JDK, also very important to understand what is the differences between Openjdk and Oracle JDK. Now we can see the differences between Openjdk and Oracle JDK, some of the differences. Now you can see Oracle JDK. both OpenJDK and Oracle JDK are created and maintained, supported by Oracle. You can see the OpenJDK is developed and maintained by Oracle and OpenJDK community. So now the actual, when it comes to the JDK, so this is developed by Oracle and Java community, OpenJDK community. Once this is done, Oracle taking over the JDK, and the JDK which is also the open source. This JDK, Oracle is customizing this one and renaming this one as Oracle JDK. So means we can see Oracle customizations only in the Oracle JDK. We don't see Oracle customizations. Whenever they are part of OpenJDK, so the community, Oracle is also part of the community. The community develops the JDK that is called OpenJDK, which is open source. But Oracle is adding some extra customization to the community developed product that is called Oracle JDK. Now you can see Oracle JDK is based on OpenJDK, which was donated by the Sun Microsystems. Then Oracle JDK was licensed under Oracle, so it is not an open source. When we see Oracle JDK, if you want Oracle JDK, you need Oracle binary code license agreement. Oracle JDK requires a commercial license and provide a long-term support. You can download, we can show the website where we can download the Oracle JDK. But when it comes to OpenJDK, the OpenJDK is developed by the community. We please understand Oracle is also part of that community, OpenJDK community. Then OpenJDK was initially donated to the public by Sun Microsystems. Still, after Oracle took over Sun Microsystems, they are maintaining the same thing. OpenJDK is licensed under JNU, which is a open source. OpenJDK does not require any commercial license and provides short-term support. Then where to download? So this is the way where we can download. In simple terms, how we going to understand in simple terms the JDK here is, now we can see this is the JDK developed by JDK community. Oracle is also part of the JDK community. This is called OpenJDK. This is where we can download OpenJDK from this location. Then that OpenJDK, Oracle is customizing that JDK and renaming that product as Oracle JDK. This JDK is not open source. To use this one, we need a license agreement from Oracle. Let's go to the two websites of the OpenJDK and Oracle JDK. This is the place where we can see the OpenJDK stuff. You can see here, what is this? The place to collaborate and open source implementation. So anybody can collaborate and anybody can become the part of this community. Again, the terms and conditions to be applied. First we need to, so if you want to be a contributor, so if you want to contribute, you can see how to contribute, how become a contributor, find something interesting to work on, discuss your intended change, submit it. So all these, so if you want to become a contributor, you can go through there, and sponsoring, if you want to sponsor, you can go there. So all these are things, and if you want to download, you can download the JDK versions. So this is the where the Open JDK. In nutshell, the Open JDK is the product coming from the Open JDK community. Oracle is also part of that community. There are IBM is also part of that community. There are many companies are the part of that community. But whereas the Oracle JDK, now this is the openjdk.java.net. This is the website you can go and you can read. And regarding to the installation as well, you can see installing and the guidelines for the installation. Where it comes to Oracle, as we discussed, Oracle means they're not developing the JDK from scratch. No. So they are taking the open source JDK, which developed by the open source community, and they are customizing for their customers. The customization can be anything regarding to the maybe security, regarding the any customization. So we have to see that the notes, the release notes from that. So what is the differences? So now same version, you can see the OpenJDK. This is the latest version is the 17, and here also 17. They maintain the versions are same, but the customization we are talking about. So if you want Oracle JDKs, so this is the place where we can download. So this is the main difference between OpenJDK and Oracle JDK. As we discussed earlier, the objective of this course is the certification, but we are also focusing on the practical orientation of the concepts we are going through of the certification. If you see that OCA 8 certification, which is the exam number is 1Z0808. The price it is based on the USDs. The price. So we will go through the website of the price. It varies from you have to watch from which country are you taking that examination. The duration is 150 minutes. This is based on Java version 1.8. The format is multiple choice questions. The number of questions 70, and the passing score is 65. But if we follow this course, means especially this tutorial, definitely you will get more than 85. But based on the practice you going through and how much serious are you. But we are going to cover all the topics which is required for OCA 8. Now you can see the exam objectives. The installation and setup, which is not an exam objective, but it is an objective which is required for the practice and going through that. We are going to cover how to install the Java, means JDK, and how to set up. We covering only in the Windows. If you require assistance in other operating systems, Mac or Linux, you can post your comments. Definitely we will help you with that. Then later we're gonna starting with the basic syntax. What is the basic syntax of Java? Variables and types, primitive types, and basic operations, flow control, string, array and char, and object-oriented programming stuffs, and exception. Now we are going to cover installation and the setup. For the installation, now if you want, again as we discussed earlier, which one you are interested in, OpenJDK and Oracle JDK. If you want to go with Oracle JDK, you have to go to this link, download the stuff. Then after downloading, then you have to set up these three. One is Java home, path, and class path. First, let's start with downloading the Oracle from the website. This is the page we displayed in the presentation. If you want to download Oracle JDK of 8 Java SE 8 or Java version 1.8. You have to go here and you have to select based on the OS you're using, if it is Linux, Mac, Solaris or Windows, and you have to click and download, and it's going to accept the terms and conditions, and it's going to forward it you to the login page. If you have the already existing login, you have to enter, otherwise you have to create an account with Oracle to download. Then once now it is started downloading, I'm going to pause the window until the download completes. Now it is downloaded. You have to double click on the exe. It is pretty much simple installing Java in Windows. Then once it started, I already installed this one. It is asking me to reinstall. I click yes. Now it's going to take some time. I'm going to pause this video. Now it is going to ask next. Again, where to install. By default, it takes program files, Java and JDK. If you want to change, you have to click this button and change. And click next. Now once JDK is installed, now it is successfully installed. Next steps, if we click on the next steps, now it's going to be displaying the Java docs in Oracle. The installation is now complete. Then after the installation is complete, as we discussed in our previous presentation, you have to set up 3 environmental variables. One is Java home, another one is the path, another one is the class path. Now we are going to discuss about this variable, Java home variable. What is Java home? So we are going to elaborate more on this one. For time being, this is the standard, industry standard. This is used in many places. We are going to discuss. For now, you have to define exactly the same Java underscore home, all capital letters. This points to your Java installation parent folder. So what is the parent folder? When we installed in Java, we installed in program files, under program files Java. Let's go to the direct. So this is the parent folder. I do have many installations. Ignore that one. Just consider this one which we installed. This is the folder. Means until the JDK, this path is considered as a Java home. Okay. Now if we go back here, then Java home is until the JDK. Then what is a path? Now we discussed until the JDK. Now if we go to this one, now see program files, Java, under Java, then JDK 1.8.0, some XXX. This is called Java home. Then what is a path? What is a path means? It is a system environmental variable. It is a system environmental variable. This environmental variable used by the system to locate binary files. In our installation, where the binary files are located, if you are using any binary file without going to that specific folder, if you want to use from anywhere, then we have to use the path. So let's elaborate more on this one. If we go to the Java installation where we installed, here this is the Java installation. Now if you can see the bin, these are the Java binary files. If I want to use Java C from this location, now if I open the command prompt, now my present directory is the same. There I can use Java C. If I want to use somewhere else, from here if I do Java C, it is not going to locate that binary file. In order to locate from anywhere the location of binary files, the location of binary files is See program files Java JDK 1.8.0 underscore 201 slash bin. That location need to be amended to the path. So that's what the path is. So how to do that one? Just you have to go to system environmental variable. If you type in Windows, you have to go to environmental variable. Then environmental variable, first you have to define. Then if in the case you have to go for new, I already created Java home. Then this is the Java home. Then you can change. Once the Java home is defined, you have to go to path. You have to click edit. Then from there, then you have to type. I already created, let me delete that. Then you have to create. You have to amend the existing path. Don't do any altering, we are amending. So already we amended. So what we can do, you can browse. You can browse to that location. See program files. And in Java and JDK and bin. This is one way to do that. The full path we are giving, but according to the standard, what we are going to do, we are not going to give the full path. We are going to delete already the path defined by using one variable, which is a Java home. So we are using the Java home value. How to use the value? Ampersand Java underscore home. Ampersand, this is going to replace the actual value, and backward slash, that is very important, bin. So this is nothing but the same way. Then once you're done, close, then close the command prompt, then open the command prompt, go to any location, go to any random location, then just type Java-version. Then again just type Java C version. So once these are coming like this, our installation is 100% working. So this is the part of the installation. We are going to discuss about more on the class path later. So only we are discussing the Java home. You have to define. Again, I'm going to elaborate more on this one. This is the predefined. We have to use the same way. The reasons we will elaborate maybe during this course or maybe in the OC. Now we are covering only OCA, and we will discuss maybe in the OCP. Then the path is the system environmental variable, which is used by the system to locate the binary files. So wherever the binary files are there in the bin folder. So we have to do that. Then the class path we will elaborate later. So this is about the installation. So now we are ready to start. We successfully downloaded Oracle JDK and Java version 1.8, and we double checked is everything is working or not. Now we will start with a simple first program. So the first program, we are going to use a Notepad or Notepad++ so that we will see the fundamentals, how the Java program works. Now, before we starting writing a small program, let's elaborate of how the Java compilation works. What is a compilation process? What is a compiler? What is a program? And everything we will discuss. But before with that, we discussed in the previous slide the path. The path we are amended, we updated for the system to locate the binary files of Java. The Java binary files are located in bin. Bin means like a program files, Java and JDK 1.8. So we updated the path. Path means to locate the binary files of Java. It is installed in program files, Java JDK 1.8 under bin. Under bin we have many binary files, and one of the binary file is Java C. This is called Java compiler, and there is one more binary file called Java. This is used to start JVM, Java Virtual Machine. This is start Java compiler. So how this Java works? First, we are writing a Java program. So we can write the Java program. Now we are starting with the Notepad. Later, we are going to use IDEs, integrated development environments, which helps us, supports us in writing the program. How it supports, we will elaborate later. But in the Notepad, we are not going to get any support. We have to make sure the syntax and everything is 100%. So once we are writing the program in either fashion, either Notepad and IDE. In the IDE, many things are abstracted. We'll elaborate this one later. Just consider the Notepad. When we are writing a Java program in Notepad, then we are going to use the binary file Java C to compile that program. So we are giving the Java program which is written in Notepad. We are saving that file by using .java. So for example, if we are writing hello.java, we are giving to the compiler. Once it's compiled, now it is going to generate the compiler. Once the Java file is compiled, it is going to generate one more file called hello.class. Now we have two files. One is hello.java, which is the source code, and hello.class. It is a bytecode class file. Once the class file is generated, we are going to use one more binary file which starts JVM. Once we starting JVM, we are giving the hello to the JVM to run the program. Means what is the process? First, write the program, writing the Java program, write. After writing, compile. Then after compiling, run. Once it is compiled, to do the compilation, we need a binary file called Java C. To run, we need a binary file called Java. So this is the process of Java compilation. Let's start with a sample hello program. We will compile it, we generate the bytecode, and we will run it. I'm opening Notepad++. You can see I'm going here, Notepad++. Then once the Notepad++ is opened, I'm starting new one. Now I'm going to start with the public class hello OCA students. Now we are doing public static void main, and we are doing string array args. Now system.out.println. Don't worry about all these things, we will elaborate very clearly. Hello from Agastya Software Technologies. Now we are closing this one. So just to do some indentation, we will elaborate all these indentations and all this one. Now we are closing. So the important part here is whatever you place here, public space class space hello OCA students, and we are starting a flower bracket and space public space static space void space main, then in parenthesis string array and args system.out.println hello from Augusta Software Technologies. closing this flower bracket here, corresponding flower bracket, and for this one corresponding flower bracket. Then take whatever the name you given here, this is you have to copy. Don't do any mistakes here. So copy and save anywhere in your folder. I created a separate folder for OCA exercises, OCA exercise. Then paste here, paste this one here. .java then save. Now if we go to that folder, now we have only one, which is a Java extension. Then open the command prompt in that location. Now we can see dir only hello OCA students.java, because we already set the path variable. Now Java C hello OCA.java, C Java C space hello OCA student.java. Then now you can see two files. One is hello OCA students.class and hello OCA students.java. Now Java, which is starts the Java virtual machine process. Now there is no need for .class extension. Give until the name automatically fixed. Now you'll see it is printing hello from Agastya Software Technologies. So we completed writing a simple program. We compiled it. After compilation, let's see this process. We can see this process. We completed program here. Then after that we compiled, generated bytecode, which is a class file. Then we started JVM and we successfully run using the JVM process. Let's elaborate more on the method we discussed. We wrote one specific thing, a method that is called method, which is a public space, static space, void space main. Then after this parenthesis, within the parenthesis, either you can use, we'll discuss what is this one, so don't stress. So this one we can use. This is one type of syntax. This is the name. You can use any name here. This is called ARGS, means arguments. You can use A, B, it doesn't matter. This is the name of the array, string array variables. So we can use anything. So standard is ARGS. You can use this way. Another way representation is a string. S need to be capital. That is very important. Then 3 dots. Space the name. ARGS. You can use this one. And another way, instead of the brackets next to string, you can give next to the name. Means we can give a string ARGS like this. So these are the 3 different notations we can give to run. So we'll discuss this one in executing the program. Again, how to pass the command line arguments. When we're running the program, so first we compiled after writing hello.java. Then we given this one to a compiler, Java C. Then from the compiler, it generated hello.class. Hello.class. We given this one to the JVM to run. So these are 2 binary files. This is for the compilation process. This is to run the program. So during the compilation we compile, but during running the program we have to pass the parameters. When we passing the parameters into the program, we have to pass while running the program. So this is what, while running the program, Java, and how many parameters you want to pass. Each one is separated by a space. So after program name, this is the first parameter, which is nothing but ARGS of 0. This is ARGS of, starts with the index 0. This is the first, and this is the second, and this is the third, The nth one means n minus 1 because it starts from 0. Let's do one simple program how to pass the command line arguments. Now we opened Notepad++, then we are writing here public class welcome command line arguments. This is a class name. Then public static void main. So now we're gonna use the convention, see string 3 dots space args. Previously we used another notation, now we are using this notation. Now here the first arguments we are going to do string first argument equal to, what is the first argument? Args of the name, exactly what is given here, and brackets and 0. This is the first argument. Then string second argument equal to args of 1. Like that you can continue all the arguments, how many arguments you want, you are passing, you want to print. Then after that system dot, see S is capital, so you have to follow the same convention, system dot out dot println first argument passed. What is the first argument we pass is first argument. Now we can close this one and the system dot out dot println second argument passed is second argument. And close this one and close here and close here. You can see here public space class space the name of any name you can give, but meaningful, we'll discuss the conventions of the namings later. Then flower bracket, public space static space void space main string 3 dots after spring, no space, immediately 3 dots followed by a space. You can see this is very important, followed by a space args, then string space first argument equal to args of 0, string second argument equal to args of 1, system dot out dot println first argument passed first argument, system dot out dot println second argument passed second argument. Now we can save this one. Before we save the same thing, just copy whatever you written here. Now you can go to you just type save and paste that one. This is the important is .java extension. So if you use this one, it also gonna suffix with the .txt. You need to be very careful. You have to select all types. Then save. Once we saving, we are going to the folder. Now you will see you can open the command prompt here. dir. So those two are previously we executed. Now hello is only one. Now we are compiling. To compile javac welcome, and it is compiled successfully, no issues, and you can see here it is successfully generated. Now Java we are giving now no extension. The first argument I'm giving is Agastya space OCA 8 certification course. So now entered. Now you see the first argument passed is Agastya, the second argument passed is OCA certification course. So this is the way to pass the command line arguments. Integrated development environments. There are many IDEs available for the Java development. These are the leading IDEs. Eclipse Foundation, Spring Tools. Spring Tools is a customization of Eclipse, and Apache NetBeans, IntelliJ IDEA. We are going to use Eclipse in our course. To download Eclipse, latest Eclipse, you will go through this website, https://www.eclipse.org/download. Let's download the latest version of Eclipse and start the Java development using the Eclipse. And we are going to discuss the fundamentals of the Eclipse, how to set up, how to install, how to configure. So this is the page, eclipse.org/downloads. You can see this is the latest one, Eclipse ID 2021/09, and I can click download. I'm going to pause this video until the download completes. Now download is completed. This one, just double click this exe file. Now it is starting Eclipse installer. Now it is prompting which one to select: Eclipse ID for Java developers, Eclipse ID for enterprise Java and web developers, Eclipse ID. There are many are there. Just to choose the second one. This is for the basic Java development. If you want to use the basic and including the enterprise, you have to choose this one. Select the second option. Then it is prompting Java 11. It comes with automatic JRE as well. And the installation folder, if you want to change, you can change the installation folder. You can choose D folder and you can use Eclipse and click install. And terms and conditions, accept, and it is installing Eclipse. Installation is complete. Now it is ready to launch. Just click the launch button. Now Eclipse IDE is launching. This is the latest Eclipse. Just wait for this Eclipse to launch. It is going to ask you for the workspace, where to save your work. So you can choose any folder or you can use that default one. I'm using a D, and a D I'm going to use OCA 8 workspace. Now click launch. Successfully launched. So these are the documentations. If you want to go, samples, tutorials, overview, and open an existing file. So all these are welcome to the Eclipse. So you can close this welcome. Now you can see here. Then you can click file, new. You will go to the project. Then choose the Java project, just Java project. Click next. Then sample project 1. And here it is going to ask you the Java versions. And we already installed Java 8. We have to choose configure JRE. Click on this configuration. Then here it is coming with the default. Now we need to add our Java 8. Just click here. So just go to, again I'm repeating, just configure. See, it is pointing to 1.6. So configure JRE and click add and standard VM. And directory, go to where we installed C program files, Java, and JDK. Just select the JDK. It requires JRE, but select JDK. Just finish. and choose this one and delete the one which is coming with the default, then automatically the one which is Java 8 is selected. Apply and close. Then here you have to choose, you see, Java 1.8. We are choosing Java 1.8, then click next. Then these are the defaults. Finish. Then open perspective, then click on that. Now this is the donate. If you are willing to donate to Eclipse Foundation, so this is the page you have to follow. So I'm closing this one. Now this project is created. Now we are going to create a simple Java application. So you have to click new class. Then we are doing hello sample. Then we are selecting public static void main. Then here we are not, so the use of the default package is discouraged. We will address that one later. Just click finish. Now here this is the to do. Then we are doing system.out.println. Welcome to Agastya Software Technologies OCA 8 certification classes. So we're closing semicolon. Now you see something wrong. This is what the IDE is. So in Notepad, whenever we doing wrong, so what is the advantages? You can see here, whenever I type system, if we click dot, automatically it is going to display the options. Again, if you click dot, again it's going to display. So we'll elaborate what other benefits. Auto completion, this is one of the main benefit. Welcome to Agastya Software Technologies. So automatically what is happens here, when we're doing with IDE, automatically it compiles. There is no need to explicitly run compiler. Because of compilation, we can see the errors. So automatically it compiles. So when we save this one, now I'm going to run. To run, right click, run as Java application. Now we can see welcome here. And in the same way, we discussed there are many ways to do the main method, public static void main. This cannot be changed. This need to be as it is. Only the syntax of this one is going to be changed. This is one way. And these brackets we're gonna put after the args. It works. Now if we run again we're gonna use one more notation, is called var args. This is called, I'm going to use the comments. If you want to use the comments, single line comments, 2 forward slashes is a var arguments, var args. So string 3 dots and this one. Now if we run, it is going to run successfully. Now, so if we remove this one, if we remove, like if we put only the string, if we now it is compiled, if we execute, now you see you can't even saying you can't execute this one because this is called non-executable. This is called non-executable Java program. What is executable Java program? The executable Java program, a program which contains public static void main with the string array like this. If it contains this main method, then only that program is called executable. Otherwise, it is called non-executable. Now, if we are writing one more main method with the array here, Now this is called executable. Now when we executing here, this is if we say modified main. Now this is executable. So the program starts from this location and ends here. Only whatever specified within this main method, then only is executed. So we can have many main methods, but whatever is there in this main method exactly with the string array, that part is going to be executed. Let's go to our presentation. So this is what we discussed, and we'll cover IntelliJ, Apache NetBeans, and Spring tools later at the end of the course. But during the course, we will focus on this Eclipse. Now, first program with IDEs, we already successfully compiled and executed that one. Now, multiple main methods, you can write multiple main methods, but only the main method with the string array is going to be executed. If your program is not consisting of main method of the string array, then that is called non-executable. Let's recap again. So when we are writing a method, if it is consisting of public static void main with the string array, so whatever specified in this one, the execution when we're running, the program starts this is the starting point, the execution, and the starts here and ends here. So only this method is going to be executed. So if the program is not consisting of this method, then it's called non-executable. If the program contains this method exactly the same, public static void main string array, then that program is called executable. Now you can see here, this is what we did. So when we are writing a program, the source code we are giving to the compiler. So when we are doing the notepad, we are doing explicitly here, but with IDE, this step is not required. Automatically, it is not required doesn't mean it is not compiling. It happens because all the functions are hidden. Automatically when you are writing, automatically the IDE compiles your program. So this is, you don't see. That is the reason we use the notepad to show the compiler functionality. Once the compiled the bytecode and we are running the program in IDE, you right click run Java program. But to run the program, you need to have that method in your program, need to be executable. Then only you can run the program. If your program is non-executable, then you can't run the program. Lab exercise. Please repeat the steps what we discussed so far. Take a pause. Just install Eclipse. Create a Java project. Write simple program. Run the program. Now we are moving into the structure of a Java class. So far, we successfully installed the Java. We configured different variables. One is a path system variable, and one more user defined variable. We defined Java home. We successfully written one Java program using just Notepad++, and we compiled and executed, and we installed IDE, which is Eclipse, and we created a Java project, and we successfully ran one Java program. And also we discussed executable and non-executable programs. Now, whenever we are coming into the Java is a object-oriented programming until Java 8. after Java 8, from Java 8, not after Java 8, from Java 8, some changes came into the picture in Java in terms of lambda. We will elaborate that one later. So for timing, we can consider Java as object-oriented, but it's not a pure object-oriented programming language. But in Java, anything, if you want to write anything, that need to be written in a class. That is called a Java class. Without class, you can't do anything. You have to write a class. Anything need to be within the class. Then what is the syntax of the class? What is the structure of the class? The structure of the class is follows. The first statement in the class is a package called package statement, which is an optional. That's what when we are using Notepad, which is not gives any support, but whenever we are doing Eclipse, Eclipse prompted, it is discouraged not to using the packages you have to use. So we'll discuss that one. So the first statement is the package statements. It need to be either 0 or 1 package statement. Either you can write a package statement, or you can, if you don't want, we can skip that. But we can't write more than 1 package statement. Next, followed by import statements, means followed by 0 or more, means 0 or 1 or 2, so on, any number of import statements. Then followed by the comments. If you want to do any comments, single line comments like this, one line comments. If you want to do multiple line comments, /* star, you can write multiple, then star, then by /. So these are the multiple comments. This is a single line comment. Then comments, then you see the keyword called class, then followed by the name of the class, then starting the curly brace. Then first is the variable declarations. Then if you want to use comments, followed by the constructors. If you want to use, followed by the methods, followed by the nested classes, followed by the nested interfaces, followed by the enums. So this is the syntax of the class. So variable declarations, comments, constructors, methods, nested classes, nested interfaces, and enums. Don't worry about these things. We will elaborate each and every one in more details. Now we are going through a variable. When we are writing a class, so we are doing a class, then we are writing a class sum. We are writing a class sum. So now, what is a variable? What is a variable? Variable is a location. You can consider variable as a location to hold the value. If you want to store a value, we need a location. When we have a location, we are labeling that location. For example, I have two numbers, 2 and 3, and I am doing the addition of two numbers, 1 plus 2 equal to 3. I want to store the value 1, I want to store the value 2. In order to store the value 1, I am doing like this, a equal to 1, means I am creating a location in a memory. I'm labeling that location as a and I'm saving the value 1 here. So a is then it is called a is a variable which is nothing but a storage location identifier. and the value it is storing is the 1. But whenever we are storing the value here, can we store directly like this? No, you can't store directly like this. First, whenever you reserve a storage, you need to specify the requirements of the storage. So for example, you need a storage to store your laptops, the storage is different. If you want to store your car, the storage is different, means the size. Exactly what is the size you want to store? Based on that, the storage is reserved. In the same way, you have to specify the size of the storage and what the contents you want to place there. That is the called type. So whenever you want to store, you need to specify the type. Whenever I am doing like this, int a, I want a storage to store the values of type int. Then corresponding to this, we will discuss what is the size. So then the JVM knows exactly how many bytes or how many bits to reserve for the A to store the values. So this is the reason. So what is a variable means? Variable is like a storage location to store the values. But you need to specify what is the type of storage you required. So that is the reason when we doing here, you need to do type followed by the name. This is called declaration. So you are declaring a storage, but you are not assigning the value into the storage. Then after that, name equal to 3 means you are assigning the value to the storage. Means you are writing in two statements. In other case, we can combine these two into one. Then type name equal to 3. So we can combine both declaration and assignment into one. So this is what, when we see here variable name and operator equal to, and this is what the value we are saving here. Now this is what we are going to do. What is the variables? These are used in data manipulation. Variables you can consider as storage. Why is called variable? Why it is called variable? Varies, it changes. What is the meaning of change? When we doing the program in the lab, we will explain. Varies, that is called variable. So when we doing a variable, the name is important, data type is important, and the value. And we have to use the nouns. When we are doing the naming convention, it is a noun. So when we're doing that one, you have to follow the naming convention as a noun. And the naming convention, it needs to be self-descriptive. And the first word is in a lower case. That is very important, while the remaining words are initial or capitalized. So for example, whenever I am doing int, I can't use capital S sum. You can use it, but it is not a standard way. First letter need to be small, and the remaining may be the small and capitalized. So these are used in data manipulation. It varies the values point to time. Means during the execution, when the execution flows like this. So when the execution is flowing, at this point it contains one value, at this point it contains another value, at this point it contains another value. It is varies. But anyway, when we have a variable, you have to have the name for that and the data type. This data type is required for the size, to locate, to reserve the storage, and the value, actual value storing in the storage. And in the naming convention, need to be self-descriptive, need to be a noun, and the first word need to be the lower case. And now we can see the syntax. Now the type identifier, this is called a declaration without assigning. We are declaring the storage, but actual value we are not keeping there. So just declare sum is a variable of type int. Total is a variable of type float. Name is a variable of type string. And also multi-declarations. Then if it is the same types, there is, instead of using int sum, int first, int second, int sum, you can use a type identifier 1, 2, 3, means all these identifier of same type, like int first, second, sum. These are the declarations. If you want to declare and assign the same time, then type identifier equal to value, like string salary equal to this, string message equal to this. Then if int a equal to 3, this is declaration and assignment same time. If you want to separate it into b, then b equal to 4. So this is where we are doing declaration. This is called a declaration. This is called assignment. This is declaration plus assignment. Now the lab, let's jump into the Eclipse and do some examples of the variable declarations. Now we are going to create one more class. The class name is operations. Now finish. In this operations, now we need that method public static void main. This, otherwise this is called a non-executable program. Now if you want to add two numbers, int a equal to 9, this is the first number, you can put first number equal to 9. Then int second number equal to 67. Then int sum equal to, we are doing first number, you can see control under tab, automatically it completes. Second, control under tab, second number. Then we are doing system, if I do sysout, control under tab. Then first number, after first number you need to be in double quotes and you need to put plus there, and this is the first number. You see this is which is in double quotes. This is not a variable, it is a string. This is a variable which we declared here. So whatever in double quotes, this is considered as a string, is not a variable. Please note that point. Then second number which is a string, followed by, then we are doing second number sum, it is also a string, then we are doing sum. So this is what you can see here. This is a variable, this is a variable, and this is a variable, and this is a string, this is a string, and this is a string. Now if we run this one, see first number 9, second number 67, sum is 76. So this is what we're going to do. So variable is a location to store values. based on the type of the variable, the storage location, the VM reserves the storage. So we'll discuss what is the type, how much bytes or bits the storage is going to be. We'll elaborate later. Let's discuss the constant variables. Variable, as we discussed earlier, the name itself represents the value varies during the execution. In one point of time it contains one value, in another point of time maybe it can contain another value, so it can contain multiple values. But at any point of time, please don't confuse, at any point of time it contains only one value, but during the execution the value maybe changes. So when the flow is going execution, if we take a variable a, maybe it at this point the value may be like 3, maybe here the value may be 4. During the execution the value is going to be changed. Now we are defining the constant variables. When we're defining the constant variables, the only difference between normal variable and the constant is also called final variable. So the constant means we can't reassign, we can't change the value. Once the value is assigned, we can't reassign, we can't modify the value. So this is the main difference. So we cannot change the value of a final variable once it is assigned. Therefore, Java final variables must be used for the values that would like to keep constant throughout the execution. So what does it mean? So whenever you do have a requirement, you are not supposed to change. Now the execution starts like main here, for example, this is the execution starts. Throughout the execution, you don't want to reassign, you don't want to change the value of a variable, then you have to go for that variable as a constant. So how to define a constant variable? By using a keyword called final. By using a keyword called final, we are going to declare the variable as a final. Once the variable declared as a final, you can't reassign, don't confuse. We can assign at the time of declaration only once. Then once we assigned, we can't reassign, means we can't modify the variable. Let's do a practical example. Now we are going to create a class called constants, or what type of constants you are defining. Maybe I'm going to as a physical constants. So I need main method. So here I want to declare the constants. So then public static. So don't worry about the static, we will elaborate more later. So the constants always need to accompanied by the static. Public static final, we can say a double. So when we say electron mass is a constant, we are going to do 9.109. We're going to say like that. So this is the constants. Once the constant is done, you can't modify. Whenever we are trying to modify electron, if we see here, electron mass equal to, whenever you are trying to modify 90.20, now you'll see when it is compiled, immediately it is saying the final field cannot be assigned. So you can't reassign. This is not assigned. You can't reassign the final variable because it is already assigned. You need to assign only one. So it is already giving a compilation error. If you want to reassign, you have to remove the final. Final means constant. So you have to remember wherever the keyword final means is a constant. So that is the use of the final variable. Now we done with the final variable, and we also did one sample example, the lab. Now we are going to more elaborate on the types. So when we discussed a variable, we have to declare the type of the variable before use. So how the declaration of a variable? The type, variable name, and this is the declaration. If you want to assign, you're going to say equal to and the value. This is the syntax of a variable. Now we are elaborating on the primitive types. What are the primitive types available? The variables of type primitive and reference first, but we are elaborating only the primitive types. What are the different primitive types? And the reason of the type, as we explained earlier, whenever you declare a variable, the VM reserves the memory based on the type of the variable. So that is a very important. So based on the type of the variable, it reserves the memory. So now if we go to what are the different types of primitive type, now the primitive type is considered as one Boolean. If you want to store the values false or true, this type of thing, Boolean, if you want to store Boolean value, then you have to go for Boolean type. Again, number, if you want to use a number, then again number is either integral number, integer, or floating point. It means it is having any decimals. It is a whole number. If it is a whole number which is considered as an integer, no decimal points. In the case of whole number, you have how many options? 5 options. When it is a whole number, either you can go for byte, short, int, long, or a char. So if you leave that char aside, only consider until here the whole number. So whenever you have the whole number which is an integer, you can use byte. So when we going from byte to long, the size is increasing, ascending order. So the byte is the smallest. If you want to go for a smallest, the whole number, we will discuss the range in a bit in the next slide. So small number, you have to go for the byte. Byte, it represents 1 byte. The storage is 1 byte. 1 byte equal to 8 bits. So then we go for the size more, then you go for the short. If it is more, go for int. If it is more, go for the long. And what is the character? If you want to represent a char, means anything in Java with single quotes, like is a character. If we see 1, it is a whole number. If we put 1 in single quotes, it is considered as a character. To represent the character, we have to use the char. Again, it's going to be confusing. Why the character is under the integers? Because the way it stores the ASCII value of that character. That is the reason it is considered in the integral type. Now it comes to floating point. If you want to store a number which is not a whole number, which is consisting of decimals, you're going to go for the float and a double. This is the smaller one, this is the bigger one. So this is the primitive size. So the primitive types, we classified into 2 Boolean and number types. Number types further classified into 2, integral type and the floating point type. And the integral type again byte, short, int, long. Again, we need to be careful what about the character enclosed in single quotes. And the floating point is divided into float and double. So let's go more deeper into that. Now we discussed that one. What is this one? What we already discussed, integer type, the whole numbers. The byte is 8 bits signed integer, 8 bits, 1 byte. This is 1 byte. 1 byte, 8 bits is a signed integer. The value, the range is -128 to 127, plus 127. This is the range. So if we use this data type, the minimum value we can store is -1 to 8. The maximum is 1 to 7. Next is the short, is 2 bytes, is 16-bit signed integer. I'm not going detailed of the signed and unsigned, but after the end of the course, I will do one more a video course to explain signed and unsigned integers. So 2 bytes, the range is 32,768, 32,767. So this is the range. Again, int, this is 4 bytes, 4 into 8, 32, signed integer, and this is the range. And long, 64 bits, 8 bytes, then this is the range. So when you are to use, don't go randomly choosing. You need to have an understanding what, when you want a storage, you need to know what is the minimum value of that and what is the maximum. Based on that, you have to choose the appropriate type. Now it comes to floating point numbers. As we discussed, there are 2 types, float and double. Whenever you have a decimal number, you have to go for the float and double. Then the float is 32-bit single precision floating point number. Then double, this is also like 4 bytes. This is 8 bytes. This is 64-bit double precision. This is a single precision. Again, is a double precision. So based on the precision, based on the range, you have to go for the suitable type, either float or double. Now it comes to char. So in char, it is represented as a Unicode. You can see here Unicode can be treated as an integer in the range. So this is the reason why it is the part in the integer type in arithmetic operations. Now the Boolean, as we discussed, it takes either true or false value. So let's do an example with all the primitive types and print the minimum and maximum value. Now we are going to create a class. The class is primitive types example. We are going to use the main method here. Here only we are printing what is the range, what is the minimum and the maximum values. When we say system.out.println, so in the case of Boolean, we can't, you can see when we declare Boolean flag, either we can go for true or false. There is no min and max. There is 2 values for the Boolean. You can print. Now in the case of when we discuss the Boolean type and the numbers, when we discuss the numbers are again further classified into either from byte, short, then followed by int, then the double. Let's discuss this one, and the floating point numbers, float and double. Now when we see in the case of byte dot max value, what is the byte max value? So you can see byte max value. If you want byte max value, please pay attention here. We are doing capital B. This is considered as a, so instead of using small byte, we are using capital byte. For now, you can consider as byte is a wrapper type of byte. We will elaborate more on that wrapper type later. So byte dot max value, then byte min value, you can see byte dot min value. In the same way, you can go for the integer. For the int, you have to use wrapper type integer dot min value and max value, and for the short, use short min value max value. In the case of int we done. Then in the case of double, in the case of integer, in the case of double, we go for the double. Just we copy and paste this. So we will do the double. You guys can do the if we copy paste here, then is a double, then double min value, then this is double max value, double min value, double max value. In the case of a float, and in the case of char, you go for a character. Let's do the character. You can see the ASCII value. So if we go for the character, char max value, character max value, here char min value, character min value. In the case of a float, we can see again, in the case of float, the wrapper type is capital F. In the case of double, it is capital double. So you can see double we already done. So this need to be the long here. In the case of integrals, this comes under integral here. So this is going to be long here. Don't confuse. So we can't combine the whole numbers with integral here. So here we're going to do double, double, then double here, double here, then here the long, this is long. So now if we execute this one, now you can see what is the range, minimum value and maximum value. So the maximum value, minimum value for in the case of char min value, it is a space, seems to be the question mark. Now, and this is the boolean. Now if you want to declare the boolean, and if we can, if we go for short, for the integral type, you go for the short value equal to, if we do like this, and you can declare a long and double int value equal to like this. And in the case of the floating point numbers, when we say float value, if we do like that, so it's going to complain because by default it takes as a double by default. So that is the reason if you want to declare for the float, you have to suffix with f. And in the case of double precision and single precision, float is single precision and double is double precision. Double value equal to like this. This is the way we can declare. So the main point here we need to understand. Let's go to our presentation. The types of two types, Boolean and number, and the number again divided into two types. the integral types and the floating point types. So you need to remember, are you interested in the whole number? Then go for here. It is consisting of any decimals, then go for here. Again, based on the range, you go for here. If you want to save any character, character means enclosed in single quotes, then you go for the character type. For the floating points, you go for this and this. By default, it is a double. If you want to go for the float, you have to declare float f equal to 17.2 f. And again, this is the range. We go for this range, and the character as represented in 16-bit Unicode characters. This is the range. And a Boolean, if you want to store the value true or false, then you go for the Boolean types. So these are the types, primitive types available in Java. So you need to be familiar. It is very simple. Only thing you have to understand the size you want to store and the type. All the best, and see you guys in the upcoming session.